When I was 10 years old, I was kidnapped by some human traffickers, where I was sold to an old widow as her slave. She locked me up in a pigsty and had me solve all of my basic needs there, be it eating, drinking, or defecating. My life there was less than that of livestock. My parents never gave up on looking for me. They managed to save me when I was 17 years old. On the day I get reunited with them, my mom's eyes redden when she notices how skinny I've become. Just how much have you suffered, my child? My dad just keeps slapping himself the whole time. We're so sorry, Silas. Even my younger brother reaches out, hoping to take me home. That's when I finally realize that I have a home now. In order to repay my family for their benevolence, I've laced their food with the most potent poison. That way, their deaths will be painless. I picked up my phone and dialed the police officer. My parents and brother are dead. I killed them. The police arrived quickly. My parents lay lifeless on the floor, their faces tinged purple. My younger brother was slumped over the table. A slice of cake I'd given him sat in front of him. I looked at the officers and gave a faint smile. You're finally here. Hands on your head. Get down. I did exactly as told. A family of 3, all dead. Who are they to you? Another officer demanded. I smiled. My parents and my younger brother. You animal. Do you even understand what you've done? That's 3 lives. Yeah, it's my 18th birthday today. This is the gift I prepared for them, I said innocently, blinking. And I didn't want them suffering from the poison, so I made sure to use enough to kill an elephant. An older officer finally lost it. You'll pay for this. The law wouldn't let you get away with it. Just wait. You're getting the death penalty. Wiped the smile from my face and nodded, seriously. Good. The sooner the better. Just then, a tall woman with a stern expression walked into the scene. The other officers greeted her. Captain Larson. She scanned the crime scene, then fixed her sharp gaze on me. Are you the killer? I nodded eagerly. That's right. It's me. I've got the receipt for the poison in my backpack. My fingerprints are on the bowl. I locked all the doors and windows, so there shouldn't be signs of anyone else coming in. Holding out my wrist toward them with bright eyes. Go ahead and arrest me. Don't think your age is going to save you. You're getting the death penalty for this. Captain Larson frowned and snapped. That's enough. Step back. Take him back to the station. We'll interrogate him there. An officer stepped forward. He cuffed my hands. I just followed them downstairs. The neighbors had already heard what had happened. People crowded the hallways. The moment they saw me, they pointed and whispered, "Kid's a monster. His parents worked so hard to bring him out of the mountains. And this is how he repays them. He poisoned the whole family. They should have just left him there to die." I listened to their murmurs and smiled. Soon I was taken into an interrogation room. Captain Larson sat in front of me, while 2 younger detectives sat beside her. I casually leaned back into my chair. Can you hurry up and send me to prison? I haven't slept in days trying to get that poison. Can I just go to a cell and get some rest first? The female officer slammed her hand on the table. Take a good look around. This is an interrogation room, not a bedroom. Sit up straight. I shrugged and muttered. Do we really have to do this? What's your name? I raised my eyes lazily. Which one? You've got more than one name, he asked with a frown. A faint smile curled on my lips. When I was trafficked to the mountains, the old woman there called me Sticks. After I was rescued, my parents told me my name is Silas Cadwell. Age. I turned 18 today. Killing your own parents the day you become an adult was unbelievable. The door opened. My aunt, Naomi Walker, rushed in. Her face was full of disbelief. You animal. Why did you kill your parents and your brother? What did they ever do to you? I smiled lightly. Nothing. I was just curious how much poison it takes to kill someone. So I used them as test subjects. I should have never kept searching for you all these years, she snapped. You should have been left to rot in that pigsty. Captain Larson said nothing the whole time. He just stared at me. After a moment, she finally spoke. Let me introduce myself. My name is Kylie Larson. I'm the captain of the Criminal Investigation Unit. Now tell me, why did you kill your family? Did you hate them? I clicked my tongue. Captain Larson, didn't I already tell you? I replied, annoyed. I was just running an experiment. I didn't expect them to actually die. Kylie frowned. There's more to this. If you tell me the truth, I might be able to help you. I let a cold laugh. My brother was only 8. I killed him. How could that possibly reduce your sentence? Captain Larson, do I look like a kid to you? I already told you that. There's nothing else to it. I was just running an experiment. Kylie was the only one who remained expressionless. Is that so? She began. I heard you were found and brought back last year. Did your parents treat you well? A smile crept onto my face. Of course. They kept finding new ways to cook me good food ever since I came back. If I had nightmares at night, they'd sit by my bed and comfort me while holding my hand the whole time. My dad even transferred all his assets to my name. He said I'd suffered too much and that he wanted to make sure I'd be taken care of. Easily gotten the kind of life others could only dream of. Sounds like I treated you very well, she said, frowning. I nodded. Exactly. That's why I made sure to use the highest dose of poison. I didn't want them to feel even a bit of pain. Naomi let out a strangled cry. She dropped to her knees and screamed hoarsely as she pointed at me. You animal, animal, I echoed, lightly smiling. Kylie's gaze sharpened. What made you decide to poison them? The substance you used isn't easy to get. It's restricted. An ordinary person wouldn't be able to buy it so easily. Still hiding something. If you really need a reason, then maybe it was because I was jealous, I said, pouting slightly. They had another kid after I went missing. That just proves they didn't really want to find me. They gave up and chose to start over instead. Naomi couldn't hold it back anymore. What do you even know? Your brother was conceived before you went missing. Your parents were devastated when you disappeared. They even wanted to terminate the pregnancy. I was the one who convinced them to keep the baby so they'd have something to hold on to. I shrugged indifferently. So Captain Larson, there's no point interrogating him anymore. He's clearly antisocial. Someone like him deserves the death penalty. We shouldn't give him another chance to twist things. Almost everyone had already decided that I was a monster who poisoned my family. Kylie glanced at them calmly. Sit down. Did I ask for your input? She ordered before turning back to me. Silas, we found your diary. What's written in it doesn't match what you're saying. She pulled a notebook out of an evidence bag. It says here that when you first came home, you were happy. You thought you finally had a home. Your parents were gentle and caring. Your brother was sweet and well-behaved. I silently listened with a blank face. When she finished, I chuckled. I wrote that diary for my parents. If I'd written what I really thought, they'd kick me out. Kylie gestured with her hand. A moment later, someone was brought in. It was the old man from next door. He glanced at me nervously. That couple treated the kid really well. They were worried he'd feel left out after coming back. So they even sent their younger son to live with his grandmother in the countryside. Most of the time, it was just in a home. He shook his head. I just can't understand how he could do something this cruel. It's like he has no conscience. I smiled faintly, sat up straight, and said nothing. Kylie turned back to me. Even if you were jealous of your brother, your parents clearly favored you, she said. I want to know what exactly happened on your birthday that made you kill all three of them. I leaned back in my chair. My eyes drifted. They bought me a big cake for my 18th birthday. They said it was my day and that I could do whatever I wanted. So I poisoned their food. I watched as the three of them ate everything. The poison took effect almost immediately. Their lips turned purple. Their eyes filled with burst veins. They were all dead within minutes. I was good to them, wasn't I? I let them die together. They could still be a family wherever they end up. Some officers clenched their fists so tightly their knuckles turned white. They couldn't stand listening to my words anymore and walked out. Just the sight of me made them sick. But I remained completely indifferent. The only one who mattered was Kylie. She still didn't believe me. She was still pressing for the truth. She stood up and said, "Take a moment. I'll give you time to think." Everyone left the interrogation room, leaving me alone. I lowered my head and stared at the floor. I knew she was watching my every move through the cameras. I yawned and leaned back into the chair, pretending to fall asleep. When I opened my eyes again, Kylie was back with the other officers. The male officer beside her looked at me with open disgust. "I've been watching you, Silas," she said with a faint chuckle. "For a moment there, you almost showed your real self. You covered it up by pretending to sleep. What are you hiding?" I said nothing. Just then, another officer rushed in. Based on investigations, the female victim used to be a university teacher. She was fired for physically abusing students. She even has a history of child abuse, we suspect. All eyes turned to me. Kylie stepped forward and yanked my sleeve upward. My arms were clean. There were no scars or marks. I looked at her and let out a mocking laugh. If I were abused, I would have just killed her. Why would I drag my dad and brother into it? I met her gaze. "Is that really all you've got, Captain Larson?" Kylie stared at me for several seconds. Then she placed another evidence bag on the table. Inside was a tiny voice recorder. My smile disappeared. "Do you recognize this?" Kylie asked. I looked at it. "No. Found beneath the floorboards in your bedroom." My fingers slowly curled beneath the table. Kylie pressed play. A woman's voice filled the room. "Silas, sweetheart, you don't have to be scared anymore." It was my mother's voice. My expression remained still. Then came my father's voice. "We found you. You're home now. Nobody is ever taking you away again." A younger voice followed. "Can Silas sleep in my room tonight? I don't want him to be lonely. My little brother." The recording continued. Then my mother's voice cracked. "If something happens to us, remember that we love you." The recording stopped. Nobody spoke. Kylie leaned forward. "You didn't kill them because you hated them." I shrugged. "Maybe I changed my mind." "Your father transferred everything to you." "Yes." "Your mother had arranged therapy for you." "Maybe I didn't want it." "Your brother gave you his favorite stuffed bear because he thought you were lonely." I looked away. Kylie noticed. That tiny movement was enough. She stood and walked toward the door. "Bring in the forensic team again." One of the detectives frowned. "Captain, we already processed the scene." "I know." She looked directly at me. "But we're doing it again." The door closed. For the next 2 hours, I sat alone. Then Kylie returned. This time, she wasn't alone. She placed a photograph on the table. It showed the kitchen, my father's body, my mother's body, my brother's body. Then she placed another photograph beside it. The cake. I stared at it. "What about it?" "The poison wasn't found in the cake." I blinked. Kylie continued. "It was found in 3 separate dishes." My heartbeat skipped. "And all 3 dishes have been prepared by you?" "Yes. That's what you told us." I smiled. "Then what's the problem?" Kylie slid another photograph across the table. A close-up of my father's bowl. There were fingerprints on the rim. I glanced down. No. My smile faded. "Your mother's fingerprints were on it. Your father's were on his. Your brother's were on his." She leaned closer. "But none of them belonged to you." I stared at her. For the first time, Kylie saw something crack behind my eyes. "You lied," she whispered. I swallowed. She continued. "You told us you prepared the food." I said nothing. "You told us you personally poisoned all 3 bowls." Still nothing. "You said you watched them eat." My hands trembled beneath the table. Kylie sat down. "Then why are there no fingerprints?" I lowered my head. Because the truth was finally cornering me. Kylie opened another evidence bag. Inside was a receipt. "You said this was your receipt for the poison." I nodded. "It isn't." My eyes lifted. "The store confirmed the purchase was made 3 days before you were rescued." My face went pale. Kylie stared directly into my eyes. "Silas, you couldn't have bought it." She pushed another photograph toward me. It showed the security footage from the store. A woman stood at the counter. "My aunt, Naomi Walker." My breathing stopped. Kylie whispered, "She bought the poison." The interrogation room door suddenly opened. 2 officers dragged Naomi inside. She was screaming, "Get your hands off me." Kylie didn't even look at her. "Sit down." Naomi's eyes landed on me. For the first time since she'd entered the station, she looked afraid. I stared at her. Then everything made sense. The constant accusations. The way she kept calling me an animal. The way she'd insisted my parents should have left me in the mountains. She wasn't grieving. She was terrified. Kylie turned toward her. We searched your house. Naomi went silent. We found the same poison. Her face drained. And we found your fingerprints on the container. Naomi shook her head violently. No, that's impossible. Kylie smiled without humor. We also found your messages to Silas's parents. She placed her phone on the table. One message appeared on the screen. You should never have brought that boy home. Another. He'll destroy this family. Another. If he finds out what happened, everything will come out. My eyes widened. What happened? Naomi looked at me. Her lips trembled. Kylie answered for her. Your parents didn't abandon you, Silas. She paused. They were searching for you the entire 7 years. I stared at her. They spent everything they had. My throat tightened. They hired investigators. They traveled through villages. They followed every trafficking lead they could find. Kylie pointed at Naomi, and she knew where you were. I slowly turned toward my aunt. Naomi began crying. I didn't know you'd survive. The room became completely still. I stood. So quickly the chair scraped backward. You knew. Naomi covered her face. I was angry. Your parents are going to leave everything to you. Even after you disappeared, they wouldn't stop looking. They wouldn't give up. Kylie grabbed her arm. So you gave the traffickers information? Naomi sobbed. I only wanted him gone. My hand shook. You knew I was 10. I didn't think they'd sell you. You knew. My voice shattered through the room. Naomi backed away. I thought they'd scare you. I thought they'd leave you somewhere. I never imagined. You knew. This time, I said it quietly. And that was worse. Kylie stepped between us. Silas. I looked at her. She softened her voice. Your parents knew your aunt was involved. That's why they recorded those messages. They were preparing evidence. I stared at the recorder. Then I remembered something. My father had hugged me that morning. My mother had kissed my forehead. My little brother had placed his favorite bear beside my bed. None of them had been afraid of me. They had been afraid of someone else. I covered my face. A broken laugh escaped me. I didn't kill them. Kylie shook her head. No. She looked toward Naomi. Someone else did. Naomi began screaming. You can't prove it. Kylie calmly picked up the evidence bag. We already did. Then she turned toward me. Silas, you're not being charged with murder. My knees nearly gave out. For 7 years, I had lived like I was worthless. For 1 year, I had pretended I didn't care. And for one terrible night, I had decided to take the blame for the only people who had ever truly wanted me home. Kylie placed a hand on my shoulder. Your parents died, trying to protect you. I looked down. A tear finally landed on the table. I wanted to die with them. Kylie shook her head. They didn't spend 7 years searching for you, just so you could follow them into the grave. Behind her, Naomi was being handcuffed. She screamed my name as the officers dragged her away. I didn't answer. For once, I didn't need revenge. The truth was already destroying her. And my parents had left me the one thing they had spent 7 years trying to give me. A home. 3 days later, I stood outside my parents' house. The police had finished processing the scene, but I couldn't bring myself to walk inside. Everything still looked the same. My mother's flower pots sat beside the front door. My father's old slippers were beside the couch. My brother's school bag was still hanging from the chair. I stared at it for a long time. Then I walked inside. Kylie followed me. You don't have to do this today. I do. I walked straight to the kitchen. The table was still there. 3 plates had been removed, but one thing remained. My brother's birthday card. He had drawn 3 stick figures holding hands. Then he'd drawn a 4th one. Me. Above it, he'd written, our family of 4. My chest tightened. I picked it up. He couldn't even draw properly, I whispered. Kylie smiled faintly. He was 8. He made my head too big. He probably thought you were important. I laughed. It was the first genuine laugh I'd made since my parents died. Then I noticed something written on the back. I turned the card over. There were only 6 words. Mom says we're leaving soon. I froze. Kylie noticed immediately. What? I handed her the card. She read it twice. Leaving where? I don't know. Kylie immediately called the forensic team. An hour later, we were searching the house again. This time, I searched my father's study. His desk was locked. Kylie looked at me. Do you know the password? I shook my head. Then I remembered something. My father always told me that if I ever forgot something important, I should think about the happiest day of my life. I typed, my rescue date. The lock opened. Inside was a single folder. My name was written across it. I opened it. The first page was a photograph of me at 10 years old. The second was a photograph taken the day I returned home. Then came pages and pages of investigation reports. But one sentence appeared over and over. Naomi Walker remains the primary suspect. I turned the page. My father's handwriting appeared. If anything happens to us, Silas must never believe we abandoned him. My vision blurred. I kept reading. Naomi knows where Silas was taken. My hands went cold. Kylie leaned over my shoulder. There it is. What? She pointed to the bottom. A second sentence. But Naomi wasn't working alone. We both froze. Kylie immediately took the folder. Who else? I flipped through the remaining pages. Most have been blacked out. Then I found name. Gideon Vale. Kylie stared at it. Who is that? I shook my head. I've never heard of him. She photographed the page. Then she noticed something else. A phone number. She dialed it. The number was disconnected. Kylie frowned. That's strange. Suddenly, my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. Hello. Nobody spoke. Then a man's voice whispered. You should have stayed in the mountains. The call ended. Kylie immediately grabbed my phone. Did you recognize that voice? I shook my head. No. She looked at the number. It's blocked. My stomach dropped. Then I heard something outside. A car door slammed. Kylie rushed to the window. A black SUV was parked across the street. By the time she ran outside, it was already gone. She came back moments later. Her expression had changed. We're not dealing with your aunt anymore. I stared at her. What do you mean? She held up the folder. Your parents weren't killed because of their money. They were killed because they were getting close to whoever took you. I felt the room spin. Kylie looked at me seriously. And Silas. Yeah. She lowered her voice. Your kidnapping wasn't random. I stared at her. You were taken because someone wanted you gone. My fingers tightened around my brother's card. For 7 years, I believed I was simply unlucky. Now I realize something much worse. Someone had wanted me to disappear. And whoever that person was, they just learned that I was back. Kylie moved fast. Within 24 hours, she found Gideon Vale. He wasn't a stranger. He was my father's former business partner, and he'd been investigated years ago for embezzling millions from my family's company. When my father discovered the theft, Gideon lost everything. Then I disappeared. Kylie brought him in for questioning. The moment Gideon saw me, his face collapsed. You survived. I smiled. So you remember me? He refused to answer. Kylie slammed the investigation file onto the table. Your fingerprints were found on the original kidnapping documents. Gideon's lawyer immediately tried to intervene, but Kylie wasn't finished. We also found your payments to the trafficking ring. Gideon went pale. I stared at him. You paid them to take me. He finally broke. Yes. The room went quiet. You were supposed to disappear permanently, he whispered. My hands curled into fists. Why? Your father was going to expose me. I knew the only thing that could destroy him was his family. He looked at me. When you disappeared, your parents became obsessed with finding you. They spent years searching instead of rebuilding their lives. Kylie asked, and Naomi? She helped me. I closed my eyes. Everything fit. Naomi had given him information about my family. Gideon had arranged my kidnapping. And when my parents finally discovered the truth, they were murdered before they could expose them. Kylie arrested both of them. Naomi received a life sentence. Gideon received an even longer sentence after investigators uncovered years of fraud, kidnapping, and murder. But I still had one thing left to do. My parents' funeral. I stood between their graves with my brother's little card in my hand. I know you didn't abandon me. I whispered. My voice cracked. I know you searched for me. I placed the card beside the flowers. And I'm sorry I tried to make you pay for something you never did. For the first time, I allowed myself to cry. Kylie stood several feet away, giving me privacy. Afterward, I returned home alone. The house felt enormous. Then I heard a tiny sound. A recording. My father's voice came from the study. Silas, if you're hearing this, then we're probably gone. I froze. We couldn't protect you forever. My mother's voice followed. But we hope you learned something after coming home. I covered my mouth. You were never a burden. My father continued. You were always our son. My brother's voice suddenly appeared. And my big brother. I laughed through my tears. Then my father's voice returned. Live, Silas. That's all we ever wanted. The recording ended. I stood there for a long time. Then I wiped my face. My parents had spent 7 years searching for me. I wasn't going to waste a life they'd fought so hard to give back to me. I opened the curtains. Sunlight flooded the room. For the first time since I was 10 years old, I didn't feel like a lost child anymore. I was Silas Cadwell, their son, and I was finally home.